Osirium is a great fit for a Cisco environment. In fact, back in 2008, we built the first Osirium tests around managing Cisco routers and switches. Even today, Osirium in a Cisco device estate is one of the easiest wins for security and productivity. There are two key aspects of network management that Osirium addresses: security and change. Security, because everything traverses the infrastructure, and things like spanning key ports is a very powerful attack vector. And constant change. People and devices are always in a constant state of flux, and they move around according to business needs. We've found that most organisations have a good focus on securing firewalls and other content appliances, whilst the grid of the infrastructure has less security focus. Typically, switches and routers are managed with one or two accounts, and the passwords for these are rarely changed. Or some kind of central authentication is used, but this requires complex configuration on each and every device. The infrastructure grid contains many devices and forms the foundation of any organisation's network. It really needs full uptime. At the same time, it needs to be fully accessible to handle all the moves and changes. It's easy to see why the same accounts get used everywhere. Let's look at how Osirium can help. Since Osirium handles single sign-on, it can take over the passwords with enterprise-class password lifecycle management. This means that it's Osirium that controls access through its profiles and that the passwords are regularly changed. With Osirium, there are no pre-configuration requirements on any device. Osirium can take this one level higher by creating personalized accounts on Cisco devices based on the roles defined in the profiles. Osirium manages these accounts, and when a user is removed from the profile, the accounts are also removed from the device. This is really useful if you outsource some of your network management to third parties. They get all the access they need without ever knowing any device passwords, and you always remain in complete control. The security goals are to see who did what, where, and when. And with personalized accounts, you have a full audit trail right down into the device itself. And if you want to stay with known accounts, that's fine. Osirium will give you an audit trail too. Now this gets us to ISO 27001 and PCI DSS compliance. And you don't even need a TACACS server. But if you do, then Osirium can help you change the TACACS shared secrets too. Some environments, such as banking and security forces, need the extra security coverage that session recording gives. You can search sessions by device, time, and keystrokes. We can record web and secure shell sessions. Now, a lot of network management centers around the day-to-day changes and moves. This means that ports need to be enabled, disabled, and assigned VLANs. This is well-known repetitive work that lends itself perfectly to privileged task automation. Let's see a few typical tasks. So what we're going to do here is we're going to check what the default gateway is set to on our management port of our DMZ switch. So I've searched and found my DMZ devices, and I'm going to run the task for showing the default gateway. So this pops up. There's no inputs configured for this one, so we're just asking it a nice straightforward read-only type question. Osirium is now going to run off on behalf of the user, come back and tell them the information they requested. And there it tells us that our current default gateway is set to that address. Now, we can also use Osirium for managing that default gateway in the same way that we can manage ports as well. So let's have a look at changing one of the ports. So let's set a port to be a user port. Now when this pops up, it asks us to select the port. From here, we've got a choice of ports on this switch. You'll note that it's port 3 to 46 available. We don't want somebody to be able to change port 1 and 2. They're nicely protected. So let's pick port 4. And this value here, shown read-only in this demo, is the user VLAN that we want to change the port to. Normally you would hide this value so nobody even sees this. Let's execute the task, and what Osirium is now doing is resetting that port back to a known state and stripping off all its configuration, and then setting it into the user VLAN. And that'll come back now and confirm that that port has now been set to be a user port. Let's have a look at limitation of access. For the most part, we want to delegate all of the port work to those that service end users and their devices. But the ports involved with uplinks or VLAN trunks need to be protected. Here's where we define the ports that are used by a particular task. Let's show you how we can take it yet one level higher. Cisco Infrastructure devices have a very consistent configuration definition. A configuration backup for a switch is typically only 5 kilobytes. We can take a backup in a second. And we can use this to make our tasks really safe with a rollback mechanism. We can take a backup at the start of the task and even another at the end once the task is complete. We can even include an ART flush to make the changes transparent to the end users. Networks need maintenance. Things go wrong, and misconfigurations happen. With Osirium, we have the concept of tech-outs. These are tasks that grab a copy of the configuration along with the results of a series of diagnostic commands. For example, we can check for DNS resolution or traceroute to the first internet hop. Grabbing a tech-out is easily delegated, so the first line support can gather the data before the second line get involved. A key value of Osirium is that it plays really well in a multi-vendor environment. Real networks use best-of-breed components for firewalls and content security, and Osirium brings the management and access to all of these under one secure, audited umbrella. When it comes to network infrastructure management, with Osirium, it's a job done tick. If you'd like to know more, please see below or get in touch with us. We'd love to help.